Detective Michael Stone,
What's this about?
have you ever heard of entering the mind space?
Entering the mind space? You want to hook me up to some dead psychopath using this crazy machine?
Once you're in there, you can look for clues. We need someone who can think outside the box.
We need the best.
So I'm the virus in this place.
If you're a fan of games like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and Evil Within, you absolutely shouldn't miss Connection: The Nightmare Within. This year can be considered one of the best years for fans of the horror and survival genre. First of all, the Silent Hill 2 remake was released, which managed to establish itself as one of the best in the genre. There was also a new version of Alone in the Dark, which was a more or less successful game. There were also a series of great classic horror games like Crow Country, but the noise of these games was so loud that other indie games got lost in their shadow. One of these games was Connection: The Nightmare Within, which was released for PC a few days ago. Connection is the first game from Dragon Level Studios. The studio is made up of just 3 brothers, and they developed Connection single-handedly. According to the studio, Connection aims to take gamers back to the heyday of horror games, when the early Resident Evil games, Silent Hill, and Alone in the Dark were released. If you're like me, an old man who spent his teenage years playing horror games from the 90s like the first Resident Evil and Silent Hill, you know that one of the things that made these games so scary was their fixed perspective. The new generation of horror games are all either third-person or first-person, but during the heyday of the survival horror genre, the fixed perspective was the main thing. It was as if there were a series of cameras installed in different rooms and spaces, and you had to see the main character of the game through these cameras. Now Connection has come to pay homage to the greats of the genre and gives us the opportunity to experience this scary and fascinating game in both modes. Whether you want to use a fixed camera like me or, like the new generation, you want to play in third person. Naturally, my suggestion is that if you want to immerse yourself in fear while experiencing Connection, use it with a fixed angle camera.
New York. Robert, tell us what's going on. What are you seeing?
The Mindspace terror attack took place just moments ago.
You might think that Connection is just a copycat of Resident Evil 1, but even if you experience its demo, you'll see that instead of copying Capcom, Dragon Level Studio has realized what made this fixed camera so appealing in the first place and improved it a notch.
And experience injuries as if they were real. This one mirrors the last one, lasting roughly 3 minutes with monsters that are tall and menacing.
To talk about this new type of camera, we need to go back in time. In Resident Evil 1, the fixed camera never moved. The perspective in this game was as if you were watching the entire game space from the perspective of the palace security cameras. Silent Hill 1 changed this a bit, and the game camera moved with the main character. Now Connection comes along and gives us a combination of the two. That is, sometimes the camera is fixed and other times, it feels like the camera is a cameraman following you. This creates an interesting cinematic flow and never shows what is waiting for you around the corner of the game's environments or what is happening in the distance. During the time I experienced this game, there were several times when I simply walked through the environment and admired the game developer's choice for the camera environment.
Entering mind space.
Entering the mind space?
Spencer's on the ground for us in New York. Robert, tell us what's going on. What do you see?
The mind space.
Visually, the game has its own charms. It is not clear what graphics engine Connection was built with, but it is something like the fourth version of the Unreal Engine. So to run this game smoothly, you are not going to have a strange system like Silent Hill 2. Appropriate use of dark spaces, lighting, and fog has helped most of the game's spaces to have a beautiful and scary effect, and of course this is more evident in the fixed viewing angle. But what's behind this beautiful appearance? The gameplay of the game is very similar to Resident Evil 1. The flow of the game is a combination of a series of puzzles and fighting with strange zombies and monsters. The atmosphere of the game is a bit similar to Daymare, which was one of the best independent survival horror games. This means that the zombies in the game, like in the Resident Evil series, are not simple humans, and with their special abilities, they seem to have come from the distant future.
Welcome to the Mindspace Lab.
One of the main problems with the fixed camera game was that you couldn't tell if your bullets were hitting zombies or not. If you've played horror games from the 90s, you know that we always wasted a few rare and valuable bullets on this issue, but in Connection, when a zombie or any other enemy is in your line of fire, a white plus is shown on the target's body to make sure that your bullet hits it. In addition to this, there is the possibility of dodging, rolling on the ground. You can also quickly target the nearest enemy with a button. The combination of these three really puts an interesting process in the fights, compared to the classic games in front of you. Imagine one of the giants of the game coming towards you, just dodge his blow. After getting up, look at him with a button and shoot when you are sure that he is on your target. This reminded me once again that the game's creators knew exactly how to make every aspect of this game enjoyable.
This new attack has the same earmarks as the first, and we believe Kane knows who's behind this.
Knows?
We need your help finding the connection between Kane and whoever is behind this.
Like most games of this genre, you have a limited space to store weapons and game items, a space consisting of a few squares that grows larger over time and as you progress in the game. At first, you start the game with a set of standard weapons like a Colt and a shotgun, and over time you get better and more powerful weapons. To fill your blood, you have to mix a series of colored items together, like Resident Evil, to get stronger and better items. The difference is that here, instead of flowers and plants, you have to mix a series of drinks together.
You solved close to 50 cold cases and caught numerous serial killers. We need someone who can think outside the box. We've tried our own agents. None was successful.
We need the best, unless we're mistaken.
Another thing to talk about is the game's capture system. In Connection, most zombies have the ability to grab you. When you're grabbed by a zombie, a circle appears at the bottom of the screen, indicating that if you can press the mouse button within the specified time, you'll not only free yourself from the zombie, but also kill it with one hit without using any bullets. However, if you don't manage to free yourself within the specified time, you'll lose some of your blood and have to repeat the cycle again.
The smartwatch we placed on your arm allows us to communicate with you once you're inside. It also monitors the strength of your connection to the mind space.
During the game, you will encounter two types of puzzles. The first group are those that are very small, and usually their solution is found very close to the puzzle. These puzzles are neither boring nor annoying, but the second group are those that really torment you and make you wander around the game environments and eventually want to bang your head against the wall. Usually, these types of puzzles stop the game for a while. It is interesting to know that the game developers have put a complete and neat guide on the Steam store that you can refer to solve the game's puzzles. I promise that for some of the advanced puzzles in the game, you will definitely go to this guide. When you first hear the name Connection, The Nightmare Within, you might think it's related to the evil within. I have to say that this is largely true, and the game's story is inspired by Evil Within. In Evil Within, as one of the masterpieces of the horror genre, you enter the mind of a killer. At the beginning of Connection, you enter the mind of a killer in the same way to find the answer to a series of puzzles. During the game, by reading notes and listening to recorded voices, you can get to know the depth of the game's story more. There are even a series of cutscenes that explain the story of Connection more to you.
Places he's been, past memories, thoughts, experiences, and so forth.
Remember, Stone, we need names and locations of who he's working with. Look around for anything you can use.
Finally, I must say that Connection, The Nightmare Within is much better and more complete than you think. The graphics of the game are very good, and the implementation of the fixed perspective in this game is fantastic. The gameplay and action of the game also leave no room for complaint. So if you are a fan of the survival and horror genre, especially the first parts of Resident Evil and Silent Hill, do not miss the Connection experience.
She was the last agent from our team to go in. Her mission failed and she was disconnected, but not before she left helpful items for future agents.
Connection, The Nightmare Within is a time machine that takes us back to the 90s, when survival horror games were at their peak. Thanks to the return of the fixed perspective, the game evokes a lot of nostalgia and helps us relive this lost chapter in video game history. But Connection is not just a copy of Resident Evil 1. The creators of this game, who are three brothers, studied everything that made the genre shine and tried to improve on it. When you finish this game, it is impossible to believe that such a complete and fascinating work was created by just three brothers, because it can compete even with expensive AAA games.
Hello? Is someone there?
Strengths. A new generation of fixed-angle gameplay with excellent implementation, providing an experience from the glory days of horror games. Attractive and functional action mechanics. A wide variety of environments and enemies. Good graphics and sound.
If you get hurt, your connection to the mind space will start to weaken. If it breaks, you'll have to reload the mission.
Weaknesses. Some of the puzzles are too difficult. The story could have been deeper.
Looks like I can carry more items with this.
If you like this video, like it now, and become a member of our family by pressing the subscribe button. Activate the bell so you never miss our interesting videos.
It smells disgusting in here. Jackson, I found a dead body with an ID matching your name. Is this you?
Indeed, Stone. I tried many times. You'll probably find a number of our agents inside. None of us were successful.
I see. I found some sort of underground tunnel.
Looks like you found a memory of the Shadow Haven facility. You should see their circular logo on the doors inside.
Shadow Haven?
It's the group Kane joined after prison. With the exception of him, we've had trouble identifying their members and whereabouts.
I'll do my best to connect the dots. Whoa, I see some sort of spinning vortex.
We call that memory passage. It's a channel in the mind that sends our lab a snapshot of your progress. It shows us everything you've done. Snapshots also save to your watch, so you can reload from them if your connection breaks.
I see.
You should also see a temporal vault nearby. It's a component of the mind that stores and shares items across the mind space.